On today's episode of the WNP podcast, we tell you what's wrong with Mahomes and the Chiefs, who the best AFC team is, and preview this week's wild slate of games. Stay tuned. Episode 119 of the We're Not Professionals podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson, and join me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Crawshaw. Chase, how you doing?
I'm doing swell. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm not doing well. I'm going to be honest.
Why is that?
Well, it's been tough because, today I've realized that I've been living with psychopaths.
What does that mean?
I had to use the restroom before hopping in the shower upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
The toilet paper roll was underneath.
Okay.
If you put the toilet paper roll underneath, not over top, you are a psychopath. Congratulations.
Yeah, that is not okay. It is not. That is not okay.
I was shocked. Like, I thought I knew my family members.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it was a couple years ago we had cleaning service come to our house. They did it one time, and then we had to make sure to leave a note that they never do that again.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. Thank the Lord, because it's bad.
I'm confused. How do people think that's better?
I have no idea. I really don't.
I didn't flip it right away. I actually tried to use it at first. I got so much toilet paper the next time I didn't get any.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't know how to. The metrics just don't work.
No, it's because there's a lot more weight pulling on there in the back, and then you got to reach further back too, so you're pulling at different angles where you can just you can kind of gauge how much you need when it's right in front of you.
It makes no it's like being a lefty,
Yeah, it's just the worst.
Welcome to the show. We got a good one for you today. Going to be talking a bunch of stuff, including Desean Watson, the new news that he might be playing soon. At least we're hoping so. Going to be talking about the wild AFC race, Chiefs and the Mahomes. Chiefs and the Mahomes. Did I just say that?
Yes, you did.
Nice. Chiefs and Mahomes. We got to talk about Sam Darnold. Got to talk about how we're both wrong. And then we're going to preview a wild slate of games. I told Chase coming into this episode, usually when we do our predictions, I do them before the show, and I save the really tough ones for after the show. Or during the show, excuse me. And this week, I have not picked 7 matchups. So it's going to be a tight one.
Yeah, and I usually just do it as we get on. So it's going to be interesting. We're both going to be picking on the fly. You might pick one or two opposite of me just because. So I definitely look forward to doing this. I haven't really looked at the full matchups. I just know a couple games. So I don't really know what you're too concerned about yet. And
I am hoping that there are some matchup differences because you have taken a good lead. You're currently in first.
I'm in a good spot right now.
73-34. The next closest being Garrett at 70-37. Then you have a three-way tie between me, Chris, Johnny. 5 games back of you, 68-39.
Yeah, one away from being nice.
So I'm hoping that it's a good week for me and a bad week for you. I can make up some ground. You started off hot last year, but it was like week 4, week 5 where I took the lead and didn't let go. This time it's looking a little different.
Yeah, I mean, my picks are just hitting this time around. I'm believing in teams the aren't believing in. I have believed in the Bengals all year long. They're 5-2, so I've gotten probably 3 extra games out of all that compared to you guys. So that right there is 3 of the 5 difference right now.
It really is on the back of the Bengals, which who would have thought?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Desean Watson news. So Desean Watson, he has been in rumors a lot recently. There was talk that he would be heading to Miami, with Tua heading over to Washington, and then other things heading back over to Houston. That was described as a rumor. That's not true, not happening. Then came out again earlier on this week that Desean Watson, again in trade rumors, possibly with Philly, possibly Miami, possibly Carolina. Comes out today. Carolina not interested. Desean Watson only waived his no move clause for Miami, and then Brian Flores comes out and says, no, Tua's our guy.
Yeah, I mean, with that news, that came out today, it also said that like the trade was done. They were just waiting to resolve the legal issue. So who the hell knows what's really going on? It's very, very murky and confusing. Goodell said that if he gets traded or regardless, he's not going to be put on the commissioner's exempt list. So he's able to play.
Yeah.
Like he's able to play in Houston right now. They're just not playing him because he doesn't want to play. It's such a weird situation. You're just paying all that money for nothing. But wherever he goes, he'll be able to play like right away. So I don't know why if there really is a trade ready, why they're waiting for the legal issues to be cleared up, because they're not going to be cleared up in the next week or two.
Right. Trade deadline is, I think, this upcoming Tuesday. So I am hoping and praying that Desean Watson gets traded, because I would love to see a talented guy like him back in the league playing at the best he possibly can be, as well as I have him in 2 fantasy leagues. One of them I'm already 0-7, even though I think I'm like 6th in points for, but just dead last in points against. So that one doesn't even matter. But in Johnny's league, I have which is a dynasty, and I am still very competitive in that one. So I'm hoping he gets traded. He gets some playtime.
Yeah, I mean, you have Herbert in that league, don't you?
Yes.
So, like, I mean, you wouldn't even really start him until after like 3 weeks, knowing that he would be better than Herbert, and he might not even be better than Herbert.
Yeah, I don't have a backup. So if Herbert gets injured, he just had his bye, so I'm okay there. But Zach Wilson was my backup. He's not injured.
Yeah, that's tough. It's a bad bounce.
So hoping that Desean Watson gets traded here soon. If it's Miami, that's cool. Although Johnny being a big Miami fan, that'll probably bring them success. And do we want that?
No.
So we'll see what happens. We'll keep you updated. And Chase is on the live update feed right now, just in case a trade happens to come in. Like, you never really know. If it does, then we'll let you know.
No.
Most likely it'll happen when we're done recording, though.
Yeah, but this little bit of news I can talk about real quick. That we have in here, just real quickly. Apparently, it wouldn't take much for the Pats to trade away N'Keal Harry, so I'm all for the Lions trying to make a move like that. Like, N'Keal Harry, Brandon Ayuk are a couple of receivers that are not getting proper usage or are not doing well. The Lions really need a receiver. They can go trade a low draft pick for one of those guys. I'm so in for that.
Yeah, I mean, if you were a team right now, what's the most you'd give up for N'Keal Harry? I'm thinking
a 5th.
Yeah.
Max. Like, absolutely max. I'd be willing to give up a 4th for Ayuk.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Ayuk, there's definitely more there with him. N'Keal Harry, like, it might just be over for him.
Yeah, he's never shown it in the NFL, like, really. Where at least Ayuk had that stretch down, like the last little bit of the season last year where he was looking pretty good. So it really would not be a whole lot. Like, a 5th might even be too much, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah. So imagine taking him 2nd overall in a dynasty draft. Yikes.
Imagine trading him away to build the roster that I have to win the championship last year and start 7-0 this year.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Derrick Henry's going to fall off like he did today.
Like he did today?
Or this past week, sorry.
You mean when he put up 20 fantasy points still?
No, he only put up like 13. Yeah, pull it
up. You want me to show you right now?
Yeah.
I will happily show you right now.
He put up like 13.
He threw a passing touchdown.
I think it was like 13.
I'm pulling. I was in the wrong league right here.
Okay.
Look at that. 34 the week before. It was 15.
Exactly.
He had 20 in a different league I'm in. Oh, you know what league he had 20 in?
The league,
he had 20 in the Mega Bowl where it's 6-point passing touchdown.
Yeah, where it should be in every single league.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are just stubborn. All right, let's talk about the wild AFC race, yeah?
Yeah.
Sitting atop the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals. And, hey, we can talk about the NFC if we want, but the NFC, they currently have 4 teams with 6+ wins. The AFC has 0. So the AFC a little bit more tight of a race. Cincinnati Bengals sitting at the top, Las Vegas Raiders, Tennessee Titans, Buffalo Bills. Then you have the Baltimore Ravens, LA Chargers, and Cleveland Browns in the wild card spots. What are we thinking? If you would have told me that the Bengals and the Raiders would be the top 2 teams by the start of week 8, I would have told you you're crazy.
Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, it's making it entertaining. That's for sure. Things are going to round out the end of the year. They always do. I want to say it was like 3 years ago. In the NFC, they're like from the playoff teams the year before, only one team made it the next year. So like there is times where a lot of change happens like that. So that could be happening. We could really see things like very differently here. The Bengals, they look like a surefire playoff team at this point, the way they're playing. Things could change. Hopefully they don't. But like as of right now, they've shown nothing to say otherwise. So, they're a team you want to count in. The Raiders, who the hell knows? Like it usually falls apart at some point, but maybe without John Gruden, maybe it won't fall apart. Maybe it'll stay together. Maybe they'll find a way in. The Bills are going to keep winning. They're probably going to end up finding a way to win this division. I can't really imagine them losing more than 2 more games really the rest of the year. Then you look at the Ravens and the Browns. Those are 2 very talented teams, but I really don't know if they can overcome the Bengals this year. Like the Ravens don't seem fully like the Ravens, and the Browns just have had some horrible luck with injuries.
And the Bengals coming into the season, I think were less than 2% to win the division. They're now over 40% to win the division after the big win against the Ravens. And I think it's kind of crazy because last week we saw the Ravens absolutely dismantle Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And then the Bengals come in and absolutely dismantle the Ravens. Right now, if I had to pick the Bengals or the Chargers, I think I'd pick the Bengals. But before this past week, I would have thought the Chargers destroyed the Bengals.
Yeah, that's fair. I probably would choose the Chargers prior to this, but now the Bengals are really showing that like they deserve to be in all these conversations. And really, it goes back to last year after they lost Joe Burrow. They still won, a couple games, impressive game against the Steelers. They won on the backs of their defense playing really well. Mm-hmm. That has continued into this year with better players. Joe Burrow is obviously healthy now and is playing even better than he was last year when he was playing at a record-setting pace. He's doing awesome, and like, this team obviously has a lot of young pieces in play. It's just, will the coaching limit them going forward? Hopefully not.
Right. And it didn't against the Ravens, which I was shocked about. It started to look like it on the first drive. They were in Ravens territory and decided to punt the ball away. And we did that so many times against the Packers. I put it out there that if we continue to do this, we're going to get lit up by Lamar Jackson. Zach Taylor proved me absolutely wrong. I was so pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, that's fair. And I know we're mostly talking about the AFC here, but I do want to talk about the Lions like last game a little bit.
Okay, wait a second.
Once we're done here, okay. I don't want to forget.
Because I want to talk about Jamar Chase being an absolute baller. The guy has now the most receiving yards in NFL history through his first 7 games. Put up over 200 yards and a touchdown on Marlon Humphrey and the Ravens secondary. There was talk about the Jamar Chase Penei Sewell thing. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I might as well. The only one of the WNP boys, including you, Chris, Alec, Graham, even Johnny, I think, had a similar thought process, even though he hasn't been on the show since like episode 4. But everyone thought Penei Sewell. I was on Team Jamar Chase, and right now it's paying off.
I mean, you were on Penei Sewell literally up until like February. Then you started getting on the Jamar Chase train when Joe Goodberry would not stop getting on that train. Then you saw enough propaganda. You're like, all right, I'll hop on it.
It was the propaganda. And I'm like, I go to Joe Goodberry for the news, but when it comes to like some of his thought processes and stuff, and I get so annoyed by him. Yeah. But he's got good news coverage. So
yeah, and like Jamar Chase has been awesome. We knew that the connection was going to work between him and Burrow. It was electric at LSU. Like that wasn't going to be the issue. We just, I was worried about Riley Reif. He still isn't playing unreal, but he's doing fine enough where he's like doing his job, so you can't really complain. Mm-hmm. So it's worked out for sure. Jamar Chase is really fighting in fantasy terms to be that dynasty wide receiver 1. He's obviously in that top 3 consideration.
Yep.
I texted J-Do yesterday and said, Eckler, I want him. I need him. And then he says, you gotta give me Chase and Pitts. And I'm like, yeah.
Chase and Pitts.
I wouldn't trade a single one of them straight up for Eckler. So we're done. Good night.
Yeah, geez. We can still do Najee for
no, that's absolutely not. I wouldn't do any of them 1 for 1.
You wouldn't do what? You wouldn't trade Pitts for Najee straight up.
No.
You are high.
He is probably the dynasty tight end 1 right now.
I don't care. Najee's a dynasty running back 5 at the worst.
Yeah, tight end's such an advantage to have in fantasy football.
Well, I wouldn't give you Najee for Kyle Pitts anyways, but I think you are high to say
you
that.
are high to say that.
All right, let's ask the people.
Go
ahead, put it down in the comments. Who would you rather have in Dynasty right now, Kyle Pitts or Najee Harris?
You're going to see more Kyle Pitts than Najee Harris, I guarantee it.
Okay, well, if you go in and use all your spam accounts, then I'm going to use my spam accounts.
I won't send a single message in there. I won't leave a single comment.
I don't think anyone's as high as you are, buddy.
I guarantee you.
Is that the classic Coke with the cocaine?
No, it is not. Trust me. I am all over Dynasty Twitter, and I would get more people agreeing with me than you.
Well, guess what? Dynasty Twitter doesn't watch the show. Our friends do, and our friends are smarter than Dynasty Twitter. Running backs are way more valuable than in our leagues than Dynasty Twitter. That's why Najee Harris will be answered.
Running backs are so overvalued in our leagues. It's so stupid how overvalued.
Well, that's why I'm trying to change that with a couple propositions I have for my league. But you're like, I don't like him.
I never said I don't like them. I said I don't think they'll go through.
Anyways, let's move on. You wanted to talk about your Lions. They came out firing against the Los Angeles Rams, an onside kick, a fake punt.
2 fake punts.
A lot of fun stuff right at the beginning of the game. It looked good at the start, but this Rams team was way too powerful towards the end. They couldn't keep up.
Yeah, the Lions covered. That's all you can ask for.
Right.
The better team clearly won that game, and we're going to win that game. Like it was pretty evident. But hats off to Dan Campbell. That was the best game he's coached so far, and he's had some good games where he's coached, and obviously some moments where it's like whatever, but it's because of the talent. But that was a game where really the weakness of talent was, covered up by the excellent play calling, the excellent strategy. Shout out to Campbell, shout out to Anthony Lynn, and I can never remember our defensive coordinator's name. Apologies, but shout out to those 3 for really the whole coaching staff in general, just for doing a great job calling the game. I don't remember who it was, but one of the NFL Network guys said that Dan Campbell should get Coach of the Week despite the loss because that there could not have been a better coach game in the league than what he did.
Well, Zach Taylor had a pretty good one. But I would agree. Dan Campbell did awesome. I do have to say, though, it's not too hard to cover when the spread was 16 points.
Yeah, but still.
We talked about it last episode that having that high of a spread is insane in the NFL. Sure enough, the Cardinals, they covered their 17.5-point spread over the Texans, but that's because it's the Davis Mills-led Texans.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Tyrod Taylor has been announced. He will be the starter once he returns healthy.
Shocker.
Yeah. Davis Mills had a couple of good games, but
he had 1.5 good games.
I think it's obvious that he is not really the guy yet. Could he be? Maybe. I don't know.
Probably not.
But it really doesn't seem like any of these rookie quarterbacks are the guy yet.
No. Mac Jones is the highest graded one according to PFF, and it was in the 60s. That's really bad. It's just not a great showing for these rookie quarterbacks thus far. They're all young. They're all 21, 22 years old. They're young guys. Most of them are just being thrown to the wolves. You got to adjust. Justin Fields is dealing with shitty play calling in Chicago. So we'll see where things are next year. Year 2, if the struggles are still the same, then this will be looked at as the biggest bust of all time in the draft class.
Absolutely. All right. Well, before we talk about Chiefs and the Mahomes, and why do I keep saying that?
The Mahomes.
Mahomes and the Chiefs.
And the Mahomes.
Mahomes and the Chiefs. I do have to say, I got a couple texts the other day about the Bengals Cup being front and center of the video podcast. This time, we've got the We're Not Professionals Yeti. So she's looking nice and pretty there. Shout out to my sister. It was a Christmas gift. And I think we are... I'll leave it. I'm not going to say it yet. All right. Chiefs, Mahomes, what is wrong with them? They're currently 3-4. Mahomes has the most turnovers in the league by a quarterback. Probably overall, too, to be honest. What is wrong? What has happened? They are not the dominant team that we've seen over the past couple of years.
Mahomes is finally not having luck on his side. The last couple of years, as talented as a quarterback he is, he throws these crazy throws, makes some irresponsible throws that he can make because of his physical abilities. But he had the most dropped interceptions over the last 2 years of any quarterback, and it's finally at the point where they're not being dropped; they're being caught. He's trying to do too much. He's just trying to let his physical ability win instead of properly reading the game. He talked about it, he didn't know how to read a football defense until his second season halfway through. He still probably doesn't know how to read it that well, if that's really the case. So he's just trying to let his physical abilities win right now, and it just some years you have more luck than others, and this is finally the year where the luck is down. I got to imagine that even if it continues this offseason, if he's not losing his job, it's not happening. Even if it continues this season, he'll have to reevaluate in the offseason and really, get his nose to the playbook and evaluate some defenses, figure out what he's doing right and wrong, what he needs to do going forward. But I think it really is just the way she goes sometimes.
And I think you can blame it on the offensive line as well. They had to rebuild it because they let go of Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher. It has not looked good. There was a really ugly hit on Patrick Mahomes this past weekend where someone got him from behind and then one guy was coming over the top and his head bent backwards. It was really gross. That will obviously hurt, as well as the defense. They are currently tied for 30th in the league. Absolutely terrible, giving up 203 points through their 7 games. So when you combine always being down and then having to make these big plays where you're not able to really see it out fully, I guess, if you don't have the time. If you need to make a big play to Tyreek Hill, you need a little bit time to let that develop. You don't have that with the offensive line, so not getting those huge plays and having to get the big plays to actually stay in the game is definitely hurting them as well. So just a really disaster-like season for them right now. I have a hard time saying they don't make the playoffs, though. I think 7 games, it shows something for sure, but you've got Cleveland right there on the brink. You've got the Ravens on the brink. I would not be shocked if they're able to jump one of them later on in the season.
Yeah, I mean, finishing the season 7-3, that puts them at 10-7. That's a playoff team, more likely than not. That's something that could be done even with the way they're looking. They could still win every game the rest of the year. Any team can do that, and if you're going to bet on one team to do it, you would probably bet on Patrick Mahomes coming into the year. So it's really not impossible, and it's not unlikely, I would say, either. I'd say it's more likely than unlikely to make playoffs just because of, historical trends, that their talent offensively. But with the state of that defense, it is really rough. So the second their offense isn't going, they're in trouble.
And we talked about it, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. We said, where does Mahomes sit? Is he still solely at the top of quarterback rankings based on how they're performing this year? You said, I can't just give the 3 games that he struggled enough weight to put him not in his own tier. Do you still feel the same? Is he still your number 1 guy? No question about it.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's tough.
Probably still. No one has the ability that Patrick Mahomes does. They flat out don't. But he's too comfortable with his ability and is taking too many chances where he needs to make more calculated risks, and he's not, calculating those risks at all. He's just taking every risk he can. And, this happens in the past. Tom Brady's had 17 interception seasons. These happen sometimes with these elite quarterbacks. It's just, learning from the bad year and moving on to the next year is really all you can do. If I was drafting a team and he'd be my 101 overall pick over everybody else, I wouldn't even consider anybody else still, honestly. But for this season, I mean, the gap just keeps closing and closing for him being solely up top. It's about as thin as it can be right now.
Yeah, and I think that 2 quarterbacks that are close to his natural ability, Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, both of those guys are seeing the field better than Mahomes as of this moment. So
you can even throw Kyler in that mix too.
Yeah. So it's I don't know if I even have him as my number 1 right now. I think he's in the same tier as those top guys still. But I don't know if he's my number 1. However, if I'm drafting a team to build around a guy, it would still probably be Mahomes.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, if it continues this year and it looks really bad, and maybe even looks worse going forward, then you can start having those discussions. But for now, it still has to be.
I think it's Mahomes, or you could argue the next guy we're going to talk about, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, you could argue that if you're trying to tank.
Hey, we don't mind coming on the WNP podcast and letting you know that we were wrong. We don't like it. but we don't mind doing it. And I'll say, first and foremost, I was wrong about Sam Darnold. I was very high on him coming out of the draft. I thought the Adam Gase Jets thing was the downfall of him himself. So when he got this new opportunity with Joe Brady and the Panthers, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be awesome. His first 3 games, maybe even that 4th game against Dallas, you could argue, he looked pretty good. But these past 3 games, he has been terrible. If you look at his passer rating over the last 2 games, you have 44.5, 55.6, and 57.2. Absolutely horrendous. He's only gone over 200 yards once in those past 3 games.
Yeah.
It's over. The experiment has failed.
Horrendously isn't even a strong enough word to explain how bad it's been. It's been worst quarterback in the league over that stretch bad. It worse than Geno Smith bad, in my opinion, honestly. It's been horrible. It has given the team no chance to win. When he had the elite playmakers, he was doing well. Second teams, he goes out, and when he starts struggling. So it's disappointing. Still believe in that team. Still believe in Matt Rule. Officially off the Sam Darnold train. I'd hope he proves me wrong again and all of a sudden starts playing really well. So I'd rather see guys play really well than guys fail. I don't want to see anybody fail. I'd rather be proven wrong about guys in that aspect. But right now, it's just not showing it. It's showing maybe Justin Fields was the better pick there at number 8. Even though he's struggling in Chicago, maybe it was the better pick to develop that guy and see what you can do with him down the road.
And it's crazy the drop off when you look at the game logs. So your first 4 games, he had 3 of them over 300 yards. The one he didn't was 279.
He still probably had 2 rushing touchdowns that game.
And yeah, he was at a touchdown, more touchdowns than he was turnovers.
Yeah.
In those first 4 games. These past 3, he has not been. He's had more turnovers than he has touchdowns. If you look at completion percentage, it was around 66 and higher. Recently, it's been 56, 41, and 64 yards per attempt. They were all over 7. This time, they're all under 5. So just a huge drop-off. I don't know if it was scheme or he has just completely lost all of his confidence and he is just playing terribly.
Yeah, it's all just going downhill. And, with him going downhill, he's killing Robbie Anderson this year, too. Have you seen the stats on Robbie Anderson?
I haven't.
So he is 4th in the league in routes run or something like that, but is 98th out of 100 eligible players in yards per route run.
Jeez.
He has 20 targets over the last 2 or 3 weeks, whatever the hell it is, with 25 yards.
Yikes.
How does that actually happen? How does that happen?
Sam Darnold effect, I guess. And I hate saying that.
I really don't understand. I don't understand, it's just here's some of his yards per target, and in week 1, he had 3 targets, had 1 catch, 57 yards, that 1 big play. That was 19 yards per target. That's great. Then it goes down to 6.3, 4, 4.18, 4.29, then 1 yard per target and 1.56 yards per target. He's got, so I mentioned 20 the last 2 weeks, 27 over the last 3, 38 over the last 4, and has combined that for less than 100 receiving yards.
Yeah, the drop-off has been absurd with the whole offense. So I don't know. Maybe Joe Brady isn't confident in Sam Darnold, and now without CMC, he's like, all right, I got to just damper down this offense, and hopefully the defense will take it. But they haven't been able to do that. They've lost 4 straight now. They lost the one to Dallas, which was a good game and wasn't super close towards the end, but was a good game. Then you had Philly where they lost. Minnesota, they lost. And then the Giants, they got blown out. 22-point differential there.
Yeah, it was bad.
All right. Well, we got to hop into our NFL predictions for this week's games, week 8. But before we do that, if there's any gamers out there and you happen to be watching the show, there was 2 Easter eggs that I placed in this episode that would tell you what's happening with the next episode. First of all, I said on today's episode, and then I'm also wearing a Michigan State shirt. So what does that tell you? Friday, we are coming out with a second episode doing a college football preview of the U of M Michigan State game. So any gamers that caught that, awesome. If you didn't, well, now you know.
No one caught that.
You didn't catch it.
No, I didn't catch it.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be sneaky today. But Who knows? Maybe
Great.
Graham caught it. He's a gamer.
Graham didn't catch it.
I've got more confidence in Graham than you do.
I don't.
All right, let's get into the games. Thursday night game. We've got a really good Thursday night game. It's been a while. And, they've been good games on Thursday nights, but they haven't been good matchups. I'll say that. Great matchup this Thursday. Green Bay at Arizona. Arizona, a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, it's hard to pick against Arizona at this point, especially with all the guys going out with COVID for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is going to have to figure out with just kind of bits and pieces what he's going to do. No Devontae Adams is looking like, no Allen Lazard. It's going to be Aaron Jones time. It's going to be Robert Tonyan time. It's going to be Equanimeous St. Brown time. It's going to be Randall Cobb time. So he's going to have to make do with those guys as he can. But at the end of the day, it's too favorable for the Cardinals. They're going to continue 8-0.
I went with the Cardinals as well. I think if it wasn't for the COVID stuff that's happening in Green Bay, this could be an upset, and Arizona could have their first loss. Yeah,
they're going to get it at some point. If the Packers were their full team, I probably would have won Packers in this game. Like I was planning it going into the game, but then everything's happening, and now I'm not too certain about that.
All right, well, next we've got the Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Jets. The Jets are a 9.5-point underdog. And this is going to be the week that everyone is picking the Bengals. Are you ready to hop off?
No. If the Bengals lose, I'm not picking them the rest of the year, though, because this is a Mike White-led New York Jets team that looked horrendous.
The only problem I have, the only concern that I have is they've got the Browns at home the following week. So they might be looking forward to that matchup already because it is an in-division game. I hope not, as long as they are focusing on the Jets and playing up to their standard. I think they cover. Like
they should. They definitely should.
So, next up, Tennessee at Indianapolis. Tennessee only a 1-point favorite.
Yeah, they've been a weird team. So their defense is not very good, but they've been able to keep some of these great offenses in check so far this year. It's strange. Derrick Henry likes to just run over everybody for fun, and it's going to happen again. It's going to be a very Derrick Henry led game. It's the Titans doing this one.
I've got the Titans as well. Unfortunately, anyone who watches the show knows I'm not a huge Titans fan, and I was polling for the Colts and Carson Wentz at the beginning of the season. They've kind of had a couple missteps too, so I was surprised it was only a 1-point favorite, but Tennessee definitely getting the win for me.
Carson Wentz has the least amount of interceptions in the league. We talked about it last week, so it's the turnovers aren't going to be the reason they lose. It's just going to be if you can't maintain Derrick Henry, it's hard to beat the Titans.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to the biggest spread of the weekend. That would be the LA Rams traveling down to Houston. The Rams favored by 14.5.
Cover. The Texans cover, but the Rams win.
Oh. I thought you were saying the Rams cover.
No. Let's go. The Texans somehow cover this game. But the Rams win anyway. The Rams are going to win this game for sure.
Yeah.
But the Texans are going to find some really random way to cover this. I got a feeling.
I was going to say I wouldn't be shocked if the Rams cover because the Cardinals covered 18. I think they won 31-6 or something, 31-3.
Yeah, something like that.
So they covered by a lot.
But it's going to be I think it was 37-6. It was scoregami. But it's going to be a very weird way that they cover. I'm already calling it.
All right, let's go over to Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Cleveland, a 3.5-point favorite. Baker is getting starting reps, but there has not been a quarterback named to be the starter yet. Who are you taking in this one?
Still think I want to go the Browns in this one, regardless of who plays. They got it done last week. Case Keenum started the game really well, slowed down, and they just kind of managed and were able to squeak by the win. Now they're going to possibly have Baker back. They have Nick Chubb back. I really can't imagine the Steelers beat them in this one. Like it's not impossible, but I really think the Browns come out with this.
This is one of the games that I did not pick yet because I think it's going to be a close game. That defense is good, and even with Baker and Nick Chubb being back, they're both going to be banged up if Baker does start. So I would not be shocked if the Steelers defense are able to shut them down and Najee Harris is able to have himself a day. I think that's the only way the Steelers win is if Najee Harris goes off. So I don't really know. I'm not going to pick Pittsburgh just because it's Pittsburgh, but I won't be shocked if Pittsburgh wins. How about that?
Yeah, I still think the Browns Browns fans should feel comfortable in this game still.
Yet another game I have not picked yet. That would be Philly traveling to Detroit. Philly a 3-point favorite.
Detroit's bound to win at some point, aren't they?
Yep.
It's not going to be this week.
Okay. I am taking Detroit then.
I'm not taking them. I'm just not doing it until they win.
If it's a close game like this where I could see either team winning, except for the Pittsburgh one because I won't ever pick Pittsburgh, then I'll go opposite of you to try to make up that difference or just push it further.
Yeah, I would love to bet on the Lions, but like I can't do it. Like even with how bad Jalen Hurts is, how bad the Eagles are, I still just can't do it.
Dan Campbell needs to come out like he did against the Rams.
Yeah.
Like that obviously was working for a little bit against the Rams. You can't just now forego that because you're going against a lesser opponent.
Right.
Go against the Super Bowl winning team every single week. That should be your mindset.
Exactly.
San Francisco at Chicago. It could have been the battle of Lance and Fields. However, Garoppolo was named the starter, so boo Kyle Shanahan. This is yet another game I have not picked. San Francisco, a 3.5-point favorite.
Yeah, this game is just gross. I'm not watching this game.
I'm gonna take my pick before you get in.
I've already got who I have in mind anyway, so go ahead.
Give me Chicago.
Cool. Give me 49ers.
Awesome. There we go. The 49ers have really rubbed me the wrong way over this season. The defense hasn't even looked as good. Kyle Shanahan's coaching, the great coaching, it's been subpar this season.
So now you're getting on track with what I brought up a couple weeks ago, finally.
What?
Remember how is it time to really call out if he's truly an offensive genius or not?
I thought that was Cliff.
No, I said about Kyle Shanahan because
Okay.
the 49ers are starting so slow. I would say about Cliff when they're 5-0.
Well, because you said Cliff was going to get fired in the middle of the season.
Yeah, that was a hot take.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Like, Kyle Shanahan right now has a losing record. If it's not for the name recognition, does he still have a job?
Yeah.
If it's Zach Taylor doing this, does he still have a job?
Probably not. And, like, you want to give guys benefit of the doubt when their players keep getting injured, but at the end of the day, it's the NFL. You have to win despite the injuries. So if he's not doing that, then that's kind of his problem.
Also, quickly, who would have thought that Zach Taylor and Cliff Kingsbury would be the top two guys for Coach of the Year right now?
Yeah, it's gross.
I would not have
That's
expected
gross.
that, that's for sure.
No, not at all. Not at all. No.
All right. Well, you talked about that being gross. You talked about the Chicago-San Francisco game being gross. How about this one? You've got Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta, a 2.5-point favorite.
This is another one you didn't know where to pick?
Yep, and he had another one. I told you, there's quite a few.
I get it now. Is CMC going to be back this week?
No. I think he's still got at least one more week because he got put on IR, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Go Falcons.
I am taking the Falcons as well.
I'm not picking the Panthers till CMC's back.
I'm a huge Carolina fan. I want them to do well. I think their defense is super young, super awesome. But with how that team has looked under Sam Darnold the last 3 weeks, that's a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
Miami at Buffalo. Buffalo, a 13.5-point favorite.
Covers.
And then when Desean Watson gets traded to that would be huge. I would love that.
He gets traded on a Wednesday or a Thursday, gets a day or two to read the playbook, and they're like, just figure it out.
Could you imagine if Desean Watson goes head-to-head with Josh Allen this weekend? That'd be awesome.
That'd be exciting. I'd skip the Lions game this week to say I won't watch it.
Yeah, I've got Buffalo as well. No shocker there.
Yeah.
LA Chargers, they host the New England Patriots. The Chargers are a 5.5-point favorite. The Patriots coming off of a dominant win where I think they had 5 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, something like that sounds right. Damian played really well, but they scored a lot of points too, so it makes sense. But I'm picking too many favorites so far this week, and I'm going to keep that trend going. I think the Chargers.
Come on, what are you doing? I'm going the Chargers as well. That was one I already had picked, so don't be.
I can't choose against the Chargers. I think the Chargers they're 4-2 right now, right?
Yes.
I think they are better than a 4-2 team. It's obviously a small sample size, so like this, even though it's only one game, there's a big difference between 3-3 and 4-2, and then 4-2 and 5-1. There's a big difference between those, even though it's just one game. But I still think they're better than a 4-2 team. We're going to see that down the stretch.
All right, well, let's go against the grain in this one. Pick the underdog. You've got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks a 3-point favorite.
Is Russell Wilson able to play this week?
I don't think so.
Give me the Jags.
There we go. We got it. I'm taking the Seahawks.
If it does come out, Russell Wilson can play. I'm switching to the Seahawks because there's no chance.
I thought we weren't doing switch.
That's a different circumstance right there. Geno Smith is so bad, dude.
Yeah, but so are the Jags.
Yeah, but at least they have
DJ Chark's out for the year.
Yeah, but they still have Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault, Dan Arnold, James Robinson.
Dan Arnold, great player,
legend. They still have enough weapons where like Geno Smith can't get the ball to his receivers. Alex Collins is the only running back there right now. Chris Carson's still going to be out. Like they got nothing going for them.
Yeah, this is definitely a close game. I do not fault anyone for taking the Jags. That was yet another one that I did not pick. Speaking of another one that I did not pick, you got the Washington football team at the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are a 3-point favorite.
I think Jerry Judy's supposed to be back this week.
He is.
That's going to bode well for the Broncos. That's going to bode well for Teddy. I'm going to go with the Broncos here. I think Judy has a very big game week 1. If you got him, make sure to start him. Or not week 1, but week 1 back.
Yeah. Gosh, this is tough.
It is a close one.
Is Antonio Gibson still hurt?
I think he's just bad at football.
That's probably fair. J.D. McKissick outsnapped him.
I did see that.
Just terrible.
Just give Jarrett Patterson the ball already. It's his time. But nothing else is working in Washington anyway.
I guess. I guess I'll go Denver. I don't want to, but I also cannot root for the football team.
It's such a shame. You know, they were my number 1 defense for fantasy coming in this year. I said Chase Young, he might break the sack record, might win MVP. Like, someone's going to break it this year. Why not be him?
Yeah.
And then this.
Mm-hmm. All right, Tampa Bay at New Orleans. New Orleans, a 5.5-point underdog. What are we feeling?
Did you really need to ask me?
Going Kamara and
absolutely not. The only thing the Saints had going for them is Kamara, literally.
He had, I think, 30 of the 50 or 60 snaps on Monday night, and he was the sole reason why I lost to. Was it Chris? Does Chris have Kamara?
I don't know. And your league, my league, Johnny's league. No, Johnny has Kamara.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe it was your league where Graham has Kamara.
Maybe. I don't know. But regardless, the Saints have nothing going for them other than Kamara. And like Jameis is just clearly shown that the LASIK didn't do enough. And like he's really not. He can win games with him, but he's also got the ability to lose the games too. And he's not got enough big playability to win you games where like you're willing to take those chances like for like a long-term career type thing. So the Bucs are going to win this one. You know, Tom is going to be just fine. He doesn't have Antonio Brown. Doesn't matter. Tyler Johnson's just going to step up. He's going to throw the ball to 9 different players. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans going to find the end zone. Leonard Fournette's going to have 100 yards again. It just keeps happening.
We should talk about that real quick. Tom Brady, 600 career passing touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Evans gives the ball to a fan. The fan goes, yeah, of course, I'd do anything for Tom Brady. Gives the ball back. He ends up getting 2 signed Brady jerseys, a helmet, a signed Mike Evans jersey with Mike Evans game cleats, a Bitcoin from Tom Brady himself, $1,000 team store credit, and then I think Gronk hooked him up too with like 31,000 coins in like an app or something.
Maybe, I don't know. He's also got 2 season tickets for the rest of this season next season.
Like so much.
I would have given the ball back. Like I'm not the kind of person. Like sure, money's nice to have. I really don't like money's not a concern for me. Like, I can live off of minimums. I don't need to keep that ball and try to get 500 grand. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I appreciate sports and too much, and if I was in that situation, I'd want that ball back. Where I'm going to give that ball back. So all the stuff that the guy got in return, like apparently he asked for a round of golf with Tom Brady before he handed it back to him. That's all he asked for. And like that's funny. It's a good shot. Yeah. So apparently he's not getting that, but he got everything else. Got a shit ton in return. Like it worked out well for him. So you can say, oh, he should have kept it. Should have held out for money. But you know, you can't fault the guy for you know doing what is really the right thing.
Yeah, and like I don't really know if I'm getting the ball and I'm keeping the ball, it's not going to be so that I can sell it for money. It'd be like a man cave thing. And
yeah.
What's cooler in the man cave? A game football that happened to be Brady's 600th touchdown, or 2 signed Brady jerseys, a signed Mike Evans jersey, Mike Evans game cleats. Like, obviously that ball is huge, but you can fill a
Yeah,
whole room with
you can-
jerseys and cleats and everything.
Yeah, you get one Tom Brady jersey for your like lounge, like your man cave, then you got one for your office too. It's
Right.
like perfect.
So I would much rather have that. A great deal that he got over there. And at this point, anytime there's a milestone coming up for a player, I'm just buying tickets right there, because if I luck out for some reason, it's going to be way more than what I spent.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, that was unreal.
All right, Dallas at Minnesota, the Sunday night game. Minnesota, a 2.5 point underdog, or is that favorite? Nah, they got to be an underdog.
Does it say -2.5 for Minnesota?
Yes, but I wrote them down. So it was at like 12 at night. So.
Yeah. Okay, you're gonna be wrong on that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Dallas got to be the favorite in this one. Oh, this one could be a pretty good game. This one I'm a little conflicted on. I'm assuming you are not, and you're just choosing the Cowboys.
I am choosing the Cowboys. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a little conflicted on this one. You got both these teams coming off of rest. Dak should be ready to go after a little bit of injury concern. If they were to play last week, he might not have played, but now he should be good to go. The whole team should be healthy. Michael Gallup's coming back, but you go over to Minnesota. You have maybe the best young receiver in the league. That debate can be up between Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, but right now Jefferson is still my number one guy. It could be supplanted here pretty soon with what Jamar Chase is doing, but still JJ is my number one. Adam Thielen's awesome. Dalvin Cook's one of the best running backs in the game. Kirk Cousins, whenever he plays well, they always win. Like they don't lose when he plays well. So if he plays well in this game, then obviously they're going to win. But I think I'm going to go with the Cowboys still.
Yeah, the Cowboys are a 2.5 point favorite. I just made sure about that. Cowboys for you. Good pick there. I was ready to bust out the new soundboard thing, but I didn't have to, so we're good. All right, the last game.
Maybe we'll now.
Monday night, the New York Giants at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, a 10-point favorite. Who you taking?
How did New York end up on Monday Night Football?
I don't know.
Like before the season.
No idea. The Bengals only get one primetime game, and that's a Thursday night game against the Jags.
The Lions got Monday night to get mollywopped by the Packers week 2.
And Thanksgiving.
That's kind of prime time. It's a 12:30 game on a Thursday. Like it's kind of I don't know if they even call it technically prime time or not. It's just a nationally televised game.
Well, the Bengals need to get.
They'll get flexed into it later in the year. They will, especially if they continue this way. There's no doubt they will.
Absolutely.
While we were talking about that, I was trying to rationalize because I really don't want to pick the Chiefs. I really don't. But why the hell would I pick the Giants?
Because they got Danny Dimes.
I had to pick him up in one fantasy league this week. He had that OBJ style catch. That's really the only way he's gonna score fantasy points. Did you see that catch last week?
Mm-hmm.
Like if
everyone was talking, it's Odell Beckham, and I'm like, sure, it was a nice one-handed snag, but that was not an Odell catch.
No, obviously it wasn't, but it's still a quarterback making a nice catch.
Right. I mean, it wasn't no Peyton Thorne catch from the Michigan State Indiana game, but
I didn't even see that. I didn't really get to watch the game.
It was elite,
but I gotta go Chiefs. I can't go the Giants here.
All right. Well, I gotta go the Chiefs too, so I can't use it. I was gonna use.
Hello, Bozo.
Hello, Bozo.
Oh, God.
But I guess I used it anyway. All right, well, that's going to do it for our picks. We want to know what you guys think about some of these games, especially the ones that we had a hard time picking. Let us know down in the comments what you think. Chase, any final words to the lovely people? And if you do, stare them right in the face.
You wanted breaking news?
Oh, yeah, breaking news.
Donovan Peoples-Jones did not practice today.
That's not breaking news.
That's about all there is.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for the show. We want to thank you so much for coming out and giving us a listen.
Oh. No, I'm kidding. Oh, this is fun. We're having fun.
I want to thank you so much for coming out and giving us a listen. If you want to stay up to date with all that we do, you can follow us on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. That's again on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. We also have a Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, so you can follow us there as well. All those links will be down in the description, by the way, so if you're looking for those, just go down to the description. The links will be right there. You don't got to worry about searching any of that up on the actual apps themselves. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I want to thank you and let us know what you think about the new video podcast. Do you like it better than the audio? Let us know. Also, if you could, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe, as well as hit the bell to turn on notifications. YouTube will let you know when we have a new episode releasing. If you are on a podcast platform, if you could, please follow us and give us a 5-star rating. We would really appreciate that. Thanks so much for coming out and listening. And as always, we're not professionals.